Welcome to the stories of the many realms. Tonight's story is The Silver Deer. Once upon a time, there lived a very good hunter. He shot so accurately that his arrow never flew in vain. Yet he was a slave, and everything he caught he had to bring to his master, and his master in turn brought it to the king. One day, the town crier announced that the king wished to marry off his daughter and invited all noblemen to a great gathering. The hunter's master ordered his slave to kill 9 wagon loads of game to be taken to the king. And so the hunter took his bow and arrows and set out into the forest with his dogs. Just as he was finishing his task, he saw that the dogs were chasing a stag. But it was not like other deer, for it was entirely silver. The hunter raised his bow and took aim. Then the deer spoke with a human voice. "Do not kill me, brave one. I will do you a good in turn." "What good could a deer do for me?" the hunter replied. "Even if it speaks like a man. Come then. Do not be afraid." "Cast aside your arrow," said the deer, "and I will come." The young man cast aside his bow and arrows, and the deer came closer and said to him, "Do you wish me to make you the king's son-in-law?" "I do," he answered. "Make me so." Then the silver deer said, "When you have sent your master away, return here to this very spot and whistle 3 times with a beech leaf. I will come." The hunter did exactly as he had been told. He returned to the forest, whistled 3 times with a beech leaf, and the deer came running at once. "Do you wish to go to the king's gathering?" the deer asked. The young man wondered how they could go there. "In these clothes?" he said. "I have neither horse nor a sword." "Do not worry about that," replied the deer. "I will become your horse. Reach beneath that stone and take out 2 snakes. They will hiss, but do not be afraid. Place one upon me as a bridle. Take the other for a whip." The young man did everything just as the deer had instructed him. He took out the snakes, and the moment he placed one in the mouth of the silver deer, it instantly became a beautiful white horse with a fine bridle, and the other snake turned into a whip. The horse spoke at once. "And now break off a staff and scrape away the moss from the stone beneath which you found the snakes." The hunter scraped away the moss with a staff. At once the staff turned into a sharp saber, and beneath the stone fine garments appeared. The young man dressed himself, girded on the saber, took his bow and arrows, and mounted the horse. They arrived at the royal palace just as the heralds were proclaiming that the king would give his daughter to the man who outpaced all raiders, who could shoot a gnat in mid-air, and who could cleave a stone with his saber. The hunter and his horse arrived first. Then the hunter alone managed to shoot a gnat as it flew. And when the time came to split the stone, no one else dared attempt it. The young man stepped forward, and with a single swing he split the stone in 2. Then the king gave him his daughter in marriage. They held a great wedding. After the wedding, the horse said to the king's son-in-law, "I'm returning to the forest. Here, take one of my hairs. If you ever need me, warm it, and I will come at once." "Live freely, my friend," the young man replied. "Now I am the king's son-in-law. I shall lack nothing." But one night the king's daughter heard her husband speaking in his sleep, and learned that he had once been a simple peasant and a slave. She could not accept that her husband was not of noble birth. She told everything to the king, and he grew very angry. At once he sent for the hunter's former master. "Here is your true husband, my daughter," said the king, "and that deceiver must be punished. Tell me, daughter, how shall we punish him?" The princess answered at once, "Let us throw him into the sea, and the fish may devour him." They tied a stone around the hunter's neck and cast him into the water. A great fish swallowed him, and he found himself inside its belly. After some time, the fish opened its mouth, blew, and the young man found himself upon a shore overgrown with wild forest. Then, all at once, the silver deer appeared before him. The hunter grew angry, seized a staff, and raised it to strike him. "You have brought all these misfortunes upon me," said the young man. And the deer replied, "You yourself are to blame. If you had taken the hare, I would have known at once that you were in trouble. It is well that I understood in time. That fish was I." The young man embraced the silver deer and said, "I thank you, and forgive me for my harsh words. I beg you, help me now as well." "I can no longer help you," replied the deer. "My strength reaches no further, but I will give you a flower with 3 petals. If misfortune befalls you, pluck one of them, and remember that your happiness lies in the front tooth, in the first fever, and in a fair maiden." Having said this, the silver deer stamped his hoof and vanished. And the hunter set off alone through the forest. Terrible beasts attacked him. He plucked the first petal. He lost his way. He plucked the second, and found himself before the stone walls of the capital city. Before entering it, the young man plucked the third petal, and at once he was transformed into a spirited scarlet stallion. The stallion pranced and entered the stable of some poor folk. They rejoiced greatly over him and set out to sell him. A crowd gathered around the horse. Even the king and his new son-in-law came to see him. The son-in-law admired the horse greatly and bought it. But as soon as he mounted its back, the stallion threw its rider to the ground. The king's son-in-law grew furious and ordered the fighting horse to be killed. A beautiful poor maiden from among the servants heard his words, stroked the stallion, and wept. "Oh, what a fine horse," said the maiden, "yet it must perish because of the will of the king's son-in-law." Then the horse whispered to the maiden, "If you pity me, when they kill me, take my front tooth and bury it in the garden before the palace." The maiden did just that. By evening, in the place where she had buried the tooth, a wondrous tree had grown. Its branches did not rustle, they sang songs. In the morning, everyone gathered to see the marvelous tree. The king's son-in-law came as well. But as soon as he stood beneath the tree, the singing ceased, and thorns grew upon the branches, which lashed the king's son-in-law and tore his face to shreds. Enraged, he ordered the tree to be cut down. The beautiful maiden heard this too and said, "Ah, what a beautiful tree, and yet they must cut it down because of the whims of the king's son-in-law." And the tree whispered, "If you pity me, when they cut me down, take the first splinter and cast it into the lake." The maiden did exactly as she had been told. She cast the first splinter into the lake, and at that very moment it turned into a golden duck. The king's son-in-law at once wished to kill it. He took aim with his bow once, but failed to kill it. He took aim a second time, and again he failed. The third arrow killed the duck. The son-in-law rejoiced, stripped off his clothes, and leapt into the water to seize the slain duck. But as soon as he drew near to it, the duck flew up, landed to the shore beside the son-in-law's clothes, and instantly turned into a man. The king's son-in-law recognized his former slave, grew terribly afraid, swallowed water, and drowned. The young man put on the clothes, took up his bow, arrows, and saber, and went to the palace. With his saber, he cleft the iron gate, and with his arrows, he struck down all who tried to stop him. The king's daughter rushed toward him and began with tears to swear that she loved him. Then the hunter said to her, "And why did you wish to have me thrown into the sea? But you are alive still, and I shall give orders to have you and your father thrown into the sea as well. Then, if you can, live." The hunter ordered that the king and the princess be cast into the sea. After that, he found a beautiful maiden, and the two were married. He became king, and she became queen. The two ruled for a long time and did many good deeds for the poor and for the honest people. There are many realms and many stories. You may return to them whenever you wish.